If you have time for this, grab a snack, grab a cup of coffee, grab a drink, do whatever you can to get yourself comfortable as you're watching. What you're going to witness here today is evidence of the 2020 election. Now with the 2024 election coming up, we know that this is probably the most crucial time in America's history to get this right. I'm not trying to say vote for this guy or vote for that guy, but we need to get this right when it comes to elections. Was Trump's election stolen? And if it was, if there was evidence out there pointing to it and it wasn't looked at, then we have a problem. Last thing anybody wants in this country is a coup d'etat, to overthrow the government, to get our nation back to good. And we see that happening in Africa. We see it happening all over the world, where the people come out and retake their government because of faulty elections, and their government has gone AWOL on them. So here are some pieces of facts and evidence of the 2020 election that were never given the investigations that they should have gotten. So grab a drink and be prepared to be shocked. Be prepared to hear some things that you never knew, coming from some pretty high ups in our nation, in our government officials. So let's watch this together. Leave comments as it goes, and let me know what you think and how you feel about how we can correct and change, if it needs to be, the system that we have in place for free and fair elections. Thanks for watching.
We'll go ahead and move on to our presentation from Maria Zach. And this is talking about the elections. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Maria Zach from Nations in Action, and we are an organization that's devoted to transparent government, transformative politicians, trustworthy parties, and truthful media. The Italian Secret Service actually received information from Arturo's girlfriend, he considers wife because they've been together so long. Her uncle is part of the Italian intelligence services. She said, Uncle, Arturo came home and said he doesn't understand why we're stealing America's election. They immediately go to Leonardo and investigate. Arturo confesses. The Italian intelligence services reach out to us November 18th. They said something happened. We're watching a coup d'etat in the United States of America. They were fearful of meeting with anyone. There were 2 affidavits that were delivered into Congress, and they were delivered from Italian citizens that contacted us. Intelligence agencies had been trying to reach out because their country had already fallen. So today I'm going to play for you an audio tape that should shock you all. It'll shock America. This is the first place I have chosen to testify in. I could have walked into any state. I know my way around. We've already proven my credentials. I know government affairs. I can walk in, and when I play this for you, and why Kansas? Because Kansas was a pro-Trump victor of electors. But I would argue you don't know. You do not know the real result of your election. You also probably have not been made aware of what was occurring in Italy. Leonardo, the defense contracting firm, had some strange occurrences happening with people coming in and out that the intelligence services witnessed, of people coming from Frankfurt into the Italian U.S. embassy in Rome on Via Veneto. This instance enabled individuals to come forward and supposedly, according to the Italian intelligence services, work with Leonardo to change the results of the United States election. But more frightening is that they claim there were 47 to 52 presidential elections around the world, and they now have telemetry experts, over 200, that speak foreign languages that are all different. So what you are dealing with is a very calculated attempt to take down presidencies and control countries. So this audio that I am about to play for you is from an individual who was a member of the CIA and the State Department. His name is Larry Johnson. Many of you may not know, but I am the person not only who hand-delivered that letter to Donald Trump on Christmas Eve in 2020, telling him who stole the election, where they stole it, and how they stole it. And my number one goal was to bring back one of the people who was in the satellite center. His name was Arturo Delia. My goal was to rescue him and bring him over to America because he was willing to testify. There were people that would not assist, that I thought would assist, but what was most shocking was this voice recording that I will play now.
Maria, hi. Larry Johnson. We spoke yesterday. Listen, I needed to see if you would help us get in touch with the lawyer, because after you talked to him yesterday, he went missing. We have people in Italy now and are ready to have the person that's in jail. We've got a national security team that can extradite him and bring him back safely to the United States. So that's already lined up. There's no need for an airplane because the airplane is going to be provided and witness protection provided. If you could call me at your convenience, 301-442-5957.
That's our United States government, supposedly, national security, that are going to go rescue Arturo Delia. Anyone know about that? Probably not. Anyone? Because most Americans had this truth hidden from them, that there was an operation, supposedly, but the number one thing that they were looking for in the beginning of that message was where the lawyers were and the people who did the affidavits who were being hunted to be killed. These are brave people around the world that are trying to tell the truth and having great difficulty with the United States government apparatus. Telling the truth is not easy, and people are risking their lives. So that was the transcript. So you ask, okay, what proof is there? Well, I would definitely consider that, sir, Mr. Chairman and members. That is called proof. That needs an investigation. Where is our law enforcement? It should be at the local, state, and federal levels immediately to investigate Larry Johnson and the activities that he did in the United States during this whole event. We had patterns of illegal activity across the country. We had people not matching signatures on the ballots. We had witnesses galore filling out affidavits. I'm so proud of the team at Nations in Action because they filed many, many, many affidavits. They saw the computers actually online and there are photographs. So if anyone says the machines weren't online, that is false. So these witnesses that have come forward have also identified over 35,000 illegal cross-county voting just in Georgia alone, and that relates to President Trump's talk with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, where he was saying, I know that there are votes there that were illegally cast.
That was checked out, as an example in Michigan, a tremendous number of dead people that voted. I think, Mark, it was 18,000, some unbelievably high number, much higher than yours. You were in the 4,000 to 5,000 category.
He was right. He is actually vindicated in the proof today because the cross-reference with the state documents and the U.S. Postal Service feed shows that these people did not live where they actually voted.
In total, I saw 24 gaylords, or large cardboard containers of ballots loaded into my trailer. They were complete ballots. I didn't think much of it at the time. At Bethpage, I was first loaded with 2 tall gaylords. So picture that thing there, or this little representation here, but this tall, all right? So I was loaded with 2 tall gaylords, okay, that had mixed mail pieces bound for Lancaster. I then drove to Harrisburg with the ballots. Usually I offload in one of the 7 docks every day, but not on October 21st. I wasn't allowed to offload. That's different. I try to get the attention of postal workers, but no one would tell me what's going on. All of this was weird. The supervisor told me to drive to Lancaster without being unloaded in Harrisburg. This made no sense to me. I knew the ballots were loaded for Harrisburg, and that if I was to go to Lancaster, they would have to off-unload my ballot or those pallets in Lancaster to take off Lancaster stuff, to put the ballots back on the trailer, to send them back to Harrisburg. Doesn't make no sense. A ticket is always provided to a driver when they arrive at a United States Postal Service facility. It proves you were there. The transportation supervisor refused to give me a ticket and told me to leave. I then demanded he give me a late slip, since I wanted to get paid for the time I was sitting there. And waiting for them to offload me, he refused to give me that too. He was kind of rude and wouldn't explain anything to me. He just told me to go to Lancaster. I then drove to Lancaster, unhooked my trailer in its normal place, and then drove my truck to where I always park it, in a nearby lot, and then I went home. The next day, it just got weirder. As I arrived at Lancaster's United States Postal Service facility with my tractor, I went to hook up to my trailer, and my trailer was gone. Not there no more. What happened on October 21st was a series of unusual events that cannot be a coincidence. I know I saw ballots with return addresses filled out, thousands of them, thousands, loaded onto my trailer in New York and headed for Pennsylvania. At first, I didn't think it was a big deal. In fact, I thought it was really awesome. I really did. I was like, sweet, I'm doing something for the presidential race. You know, this is cool. But as things became weirder, I got to thinking and wondered why I was driving complete ballots from New York to Pennsylvania. I didn't know why, so I decided to speak up. And that's what I'm doing today.
Those votes should have never been counted. Now we have illegal votes that are cast using fake residences and business addresses, photocopied identical ballots in stacks fed into tabulators, and many fake, unfolded, unmailed absentee ballots.
Yeah, upper right hand, you see the gentleman in the red. So he just pulled one out. So what are these ballots doing there, separate from all the other ballots? And why are they only counting them whenever the place is cleared out with no witnesses?
Of the thousands of affidavits just filed in Georgia alone, would you like to know how many arrests were made? Zero. Zero. All those great citizens who we ask to do us a favor and help us do our right to vote, to go and volunteer to work polls, had no assistance at all in having a free and fair election, and they witnessed the failures of America. So now you should be asking me, who are the people in Italy, Maria? Who are they that actually coordinated and conspired? Because this is where we really break things down and show you the proof of what occurred. Stefano Serafini on your left is actually a member of our State Department who retired just days before the election. It is said that he, in an intercept, it was picked up that he was retiring so he wouldn't lose his pension should he be caught. He was coordinating with General Claudio Graziano. General Graziano is also at the time was the EU commander. And they were meeting across the street at the St. Regis Hotel, and it was with Ignazio Moncada, who is the CEO of Fatah, which is Fatah SPA, which is a subsidiary of Leonardo one of the largest defense contracting firms in the world. They are the largest in Italy, and they receive numerous United States military and intelligence contracts. That should frighten everybody right now. Now, they were meeting in his hotel, and in March of 2020, they were coordinating this plan. The Italian intelligence services actually provided me with the cell phone number for the go order, and it goes to General Graziano. So then you ask, well, they concoct the plan, they have to go get the IT guys. Who's going to do it? Well, they already had a guy. His name is Charles Robinson. He is a telemetry expert. He came in a week prior to the election of November 2020. He uploaded mil-spec software, and he had traveled from Frankfurt.
I, Professor Alfio D'Urso, lawyer of Via Vittorio Emanuele, Catania, do hereby provide the following affidavit of facts as conveyed in several meetings with a high-level Army Security Services official. Arturo Delia, former head of the IT department of Leonardo Espia, has been charged by the public prosecutor of Naples for technology, data manipulation and implantation of viruses in the main computers of Leonardo SPA in December 2020. Under instruction and direction of U.S. persons working from the U.S. Embassy in Rome, undertook the operation to switch data from the U.S. election of 3rd November 2020 from significant margin of victory from Donald Trump to Joe Biden in a number of states where Joe Biden was losing the vote totals. Defendant states that he was working in Pescara facility of Leonardo SPA and utilized military-grade cyber warfare encryption capabilities to transmit switched votes via military satellite of Fushino Tower to Frankfurt, Germany. The defendant swears that the data in some cases may have been switched to represent more than total voters registered. The defendant states he is willing to testify to all individuals and entities involved in the switching of votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden when he shall be in total protection from himself and his family. Defendant states he has secured in an undisclosed location the backup of the original data and data switched upon instruction to provide evidence at court in this matter. I hereby declare and swear the above stated facts have been stated in my presence. Dated 6th November of January 2021 at Rome, Italy.
COVID-19 was a biological attack on the world. It was to, number one, impact the economies. Look at it. Look at this place. First time I've been here since COVID-19. It's an air raid. And so they've impacted our economies. Number two, it was a direct attack on the election. And they knew what was going to happen. So obviously the Democrats, whether they're in a party or what, are in collusion with this. And what they initially started with Hong Kong, taking over Hong Kong, violating what the treaty was and all that. So they want, it's hybrid warfare, using cyber warfare and different tools, economics, a whole host of things, to change the world. And they have done it very effectively. Now, what we are all of a sudden realizing, because I didn't become involved with this till the 1st of November, when I found out that a program called Hammer and Scorecard were going to be used as a cyber weapons tool, cyber warfare tool, to take and change the voting. And it did. And I called Rudy and Sydney, and someone got me in touch with them and told them. So I learned on the 1st of November, Sunday. The 2nd, I was on Steve Bannon's show with Sydney as a co-host, saying what was going to happen. And on the 3rd, what happens? It's factual. And so now we have an unconstitutional government, and you don't even have to know what I know about the cyber warfare because they violated their constitutions when they changed the rules. And let's examine those battleground states that they know that the fraudulent voting came in. And it always comes in late at night. And so what we found ourselves with, again, and I found it this Tuesday night, is they have taken control. They have taken control of our society. And we have one person, we just came from there in the White House, standing in the way. And it's going to mean, and you don't fully realize it, but every one of us here, every American out there is going to have to stand up. We read about it in history, we read about Normandy and all of that, but now we are in it. And so we must spread it. We cannot surrender. And the president said he wouldn't. You all know that it was that attack on the Capitol was done by Antifa, but it was enabled by McConnell, by Schumer, by Pelosi, and the mayor. They knew that was coming. You've all been up there. There were hardly any security police there, and they moved in, and Antifa did their thing, and then the media picked it up. I worked for Fox for almost 17 years. It's disgraceful what they're doing. And unfortunately, Rupert is driving that with his sons, and they have now merged with the rest of the mainstream media. This is serious. This is expanding. We cannot let it happen. We don't have 4 years. As Hong Kong is seeing, we do not have time. Time is against us. And Ann and I were just talking to someone about the information that's being released that shows clearly in those battleground states the cyber warfare that was used. We also found out, I found out yesterday, that Comey, the former FBI director, sold the Hammer and Scorecard, this top secret program, to the Chinese. So you now have this top secret program that is like your iPhone. It gets in, it's called Hammer, it gets into the voting network, and then it has an application like on your iPhone, you have all those apps, it puts it on, and it modulates the voting so they win, not by a large number. And I got a call Tuesday night at 11:30 that the ISI from Pakistan was now in the voting machines in Georgia. I called someone, let them know. The two candidates, Loeffler and Perdue, were ahead. I watched. 1 hour later, they were behind. Mm-hmm. So now, I thought that they should stop it. I think their game plan is, no, let them do it. We have this evidence. We will present this evidence to the American people so we can judge. We don't need someone to tell us. We can tell when we have unconstitutional acts going on against us. And when you think about it, COVID-19, why are they trying to kill our small businesses and make everybody dependent upon the government? Democratic socialism is the front door to communism. And none of us ever thought that we would be in that position today where this country became a communist society. But think of what's happening now in Twitter and Facebook. They won't let the president be on it. They're censoring the president of the United States. This is amazing in our country that we would have ever thought this would happen. And that's why I was so disappointed in the vice president. He had the opportunity, because if we had a 10-day audit, it would be very clear to all of us, and all 323 million Americans, whatever the number is today, it would be very clear what has happened to our society. So God bless you. Let's keep fighting it. Let's support this president and the people like ourselves that understand what's happening in front of us. We shall not let it happen. We cannot let it happen. And I never thought we'd have so many Americans who have betrayed, and I believe it is for money, and the Chinese are moving the money.
I heard a thing last night about something coming out of Italy, an affidavit?
Yes.
Is that correct? Is
That's
that
true.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, that's just a small part of it. I had seen that 2 weeks ago. And what she's talking about is there's a person who is telling the world what Italy's role was using the satellite, Italian government satellite.
Leonardo.
Yeah, I was hunting for Leonardo da Vinci. But the Leonardo, and they were changing votes. But there were many countries that were doing that. But it had to be controlled from China using hammer and scorecard, in my opinion, because you couldn't have so many different attacks, because you'd be changing numbers in all the 50 states that just wouldn't match up. That has to be synchronized. And they all do it like it was late at night in Georgia, 11:30, but the president uses this case in point. You hear him giving a speech. This is in Michigan. At 0631, there were, and it's like 142,722 votes changed to Biden. Now, the first time I heard him give that speech, I said, anyone that says 0631 on 4 November, wasn't 0630, wasn't about 6, it was 0631, and it was 142,722, whatever it is, I can't remember the exact number, but it means the president has that data. Now, he has all of this data. So where people are saying there's no evidence, they're the same people that when someone was taking a picture down in Georgia, you remember, and they pull the cases from underneath the table, and you say, well, there's the evidence. Well, they say, well, you can't prove that. Look, this is a scorecard from Joseph Goebbels. If you tell a lie big enough, and that's what they're doing, and you see Pelosi, you see Schumer. Ann just told me that Pelosi called the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, and they're trying to get him out on the 25th Amendment or to impeach him. Why? Well, because on Wednesday, they took Pelosi's laptop. She's frantic. There were some people in there that were special forces mixed with Antifa, and they took her laptop and they have that data. So you'd say, well, look, you only got 12 days or whatever it is till the 20th. Well, why worry about it? Just let them go out. No, they are terrified because they have that data. I believe they also have a source that is talking like a songbird. And the president is going to spring that person on us, so it will completely change, because it is someone that has said, I'm not going to do this. This is treason. Remember, this is treason, high treason.
Sir, could he use the emergency broadcast system or emergency action message to communicate
Did you see yesterday that an email went around telling everybody about the emergency broadcast system? So there are those little signals that you see. You see that what I saw was the September 18th or 19th executive order 2018 that if foreigners were involved in the U.S. election, the president could declare an emergency. That means he knew back 2 years ago. Yeah, right. And that's why it's just all come together that COVID-19 was a biological attack. Let's not say it was an accident and it slipped out of a food market or anything. We're not that naive anymore. It's standard. Simultaneously, remember, when was the impeachment?
Same time.
December and January, when COVID-19 was coming in. So they had that deception. The media, it's just like now. You look at the media and all they're doing is talking about Wednesday. So something's going on.
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction. Military terms, it's a tactical deception.
And they allowed the Congress and gave them an excuse not to give the delay, because they said, oh, well, now these people are violent. So it was also used for that purpose.
So that's how they played that.
Yeah.
And they knew it. And all I can say is, we must stand up. You are just like a young soldier at Normandy, or the Battle of the Bulge, this is a critical time for the world, because if America goes down, I think what we need to communicate is back the president, tell him how serious this is. This isn't just a fraudulent election. It is changing our whole lifestyle. It's engineered. It's coordinated. The COVID-19, it has to be. Look at this. And what's going on, and we think it's because of medical. Dr. Fauci tells us, well, we've got to shut everything down. Look at what they've done to the world. And look at the Republicans, the depth of this corruption. I had a call from a chap who was a congressman in Georgia, and he called me. He's trying to get General Flynn's because he's talking about corruption in other areas, what they've done. As I said, it's just yesterday that I found out that Comey sold the hammer and scorecard system to the Chinese. So we got a problem. Now, I happened to see this 4 years ago because I was the air attaché in London, and I was a vice commander at the 111 Wing in England. And then I was a commander of the 3rd Air Force when we attacked Tripoli in 1986, Gaddafi. I know the GCHQ, which is the Government Communications Headquarters, which is our equivalent of Fort Meade, NSA. Signals intelligence. And what is important about it, when it started, the Russian collusion, and I saw how the information was coming out of the United Kingdom, they were falsifying it, creating all this, so-and-so said he's Russian. Well, that's the Saul Alinsky model. They were doing what they were accusing President Trump of doing what they were doing. Hillary paid him. So if you see the corruptness that's going on, and it has been how many years it's been going on, why did President Obama move to Kalorama, less than 3 miles here by the crow flies, have Valerie Jarrett move in with them, with her husband, and put a skiff in his home because of the signals intelligence? Now that's the danger. So in answer, you asked the right question. I don't know exactly what we need to do, except we must understand that this is pervasive. It has cut through our whole society. Every senator and House member of the Democrats know that Biden was elected unconstitutionally. I mean, is that the model for the future? Stay in your basement, have one rally with 14 people in a car blowing their horns? Please, it doesn't pass the sniff test. Wake up, America. That's what we've got to tell our neighbors. That's what we've got to tell our church group. And the people that say, well, there's no evidence. There's tons of evidence. Look for it. But how much has Fox News gone out? And I just started the 1st of November, a single person. I don't have people helping me, except Ann and these type, we're on the air. But the fact is, they have not investigated when they say the data isn't real. There isn't evidence. What have they done to investigate it? The what?
Nancy Pelosi's laptop. Is it with FBI today?
I wouldn't give it to the FBI.
Yeah, right. We
Ann's got pictures of it.
Okay.
And I thought that was counter-information operations on us. But no, Ann, I've seen the laptop our special forces took out. Okay. That's why she's so frantic. Think about it. You only got, 12 days? The 20th day's the 8th? 12 days? No, let them go out. But they're calling, she calls the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff. The vice president misses the opportunity. And unfortunately, I believe the vice president's committed treason. Now, never would I have thought in these halls, after walking through the White House, and when my last job in the Air Force, I was the number 3 man in the Air Force, on the Air Staff, and I also did Vice President Gore's Reinventing Government. So I would go to the White House every 2 weeks with the whole federal government. I was the one person that represented the Department of Defense for Vice President Gore's Reinventing Government. I never would have thought what has transpired since that time frame. And so tell everybody, wake up, America. This is serious stuff. We're thinking what those soldiers that went across the Delaware in 1776 with George Washington, that's where you are now. That's where we are. Are we going to stand up for that?
So here was some information that we got that is not brand new, but the media blocked it. They blocked all this information from us, from America. Are they going to do that again? How powerful is it to be able to block people and evidence and facts to the American people? Let me know what you think about this video. If you learned anything new, or if you already knew it. What comes next? What comes next? What are we going to be prepared for in 2024? As we can see, they can do it by land, they can do it by sea, they can do it by air, they can do it by internet. These things have to be looked at. America cannot let this happen again. Even the question of it happening is dangerous. So guys, I want to thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you think is going on and what needs to happen come 2024 presidential elections. Love you all and have a blessed night.